Well, good afternoon, Mandy.
Good afternoon, Brandon.
It looks so festival.
It's Festivus for the best of us.
It is. That's a good Seinfeld reference there, but it's the most wonderful time of the year because we're talking benefits, right?
That's right. And later on, I might go ice skating out on this pond.
I hope the ice is solid and you don't fall in.
I hope so too.
Good. I'm gonna go and round up a snowball and maybe chuck one at your head.
That sounds great, Brandon.
Let's get down to brass tacks, Mandy. We got to talk some benefits here for American Paper, and we're going to go through a presentation. But just to remind everybody, hopefully they know us by now. We're pretty well known throughout the United States. I'm Brandon, and this is Mandy, and we're Team Brandy, right? It's the
That's
easiest way
right.
to remember. Okay, here we go. Mandy, can you see my screen?
I can see the screen.
Good deal. All right. So this is your open enrollment for 2022. The open enrollment is going to begin December 13th and will end December 27th. So you will need to make a decision on the plan that you want and also how you're going to enroll if it's you or dependents. This is kind of the spectrum of benefits that are being offered to you by American Paper. And we're grateful for their generosity in paying for employee benefits and offering really a good package on all lines. So we are going to review the medical plans, and we have added a third plan that is a HSA qualified plan. We're going to get into that a little bit more detail than the other two because these are the same as last year. Then dental, voluntary vision, voluntary life, and AD&D. You have access to enrolling. We are making a move from Lincoln to principal on those lines. And we have an open enrollment for voluntary life, which is up to 150,000 guaranteed.
It's really exciting, Brandon. I'm going to get into that a little more later in the presentation, but I just want everybody to be excited.
I'm excited. It does say $150, but it's a little more than that. It's 150,000.
150K.
Okay, there we go. And then Mandy's also going to talk about how to enroll in your benefits through our system called Employee Navigator. Hopefully you're familiar with that. We always want to take a moment here to remind you on being wise consumers. All American Paper is renewing with United Healthcare. As we went out to market and looked at the other carriers, it still was the best competitive package. But we do want you to know that your decisions do affect the whole group. We are called a large group based on this product. And so some of the claims experience that we have within the company does impact the renewal. And so all of our decisions can make a factor on the renewal. We encourage your preventive checkups. You are given these one a year at 100% coverage, no copay. Also, we have a huge network of providers. All the hospitals in the area, Vancouver, Southwest Washington, Portland, are covered in the United Healthcare Network. So Providence, PeaceHealth, Legacy, OHSU. So make sure you're checking that you're using in-network providers. And then also urgent care over emergency room. That's a big one. Emergency rooms average about anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500, where urgent care is going to cost you more like $300. So a big difference. So I'm going to go over this new plan in detail, just so you're familiar how this works. If you enroll in this plan, I want you to be aware of the benefits. The IRS requires for a plan to be an HSA, all the benefits have to be subject to a deductible first. Then once you've satisfied the deductible, you either get co-pays or co-insurance. So this plan here has a 4,000 individual deductible, 8,000 family. So 2 times, doesn't matter if you have 3 or 4 or 5 in the family, it's only up to the 8,000 that you'll pay the deductible. Out of pocket is 7,000 for an individual and then 14,000 for family. So if you're an individual and you're wanting to know what is the most that you can pay in a year under this HSA plan, it's 7,000. Sorry. And we're going to get into a couple scenarios that will help you make the decision on the HSA. And the reason why we added this third plan, there's a couple of reasons. One is the cost of this is less than the other 2 plans. So we wanted a more affordable plan. American Paper Leadership thought it would be good to have a lower cost plan than the other 2. And then also you can set money aside pre-tax into an account that you can use for expenses related to the plan. And we're going to get to that in a minute. So going over some specifics here, again, it's not on here, but we just mentioned it. Preventive care covered 100%, no copay, even if you're on the HSA plan. If you have to go to a diagnostic office visit, let's say you have a sore throat or some symptoms there, you're going to be paying the full amount of that visit until you've hit the deductible of 4,000. Then it's a copay after that point. Again, I can't emphasize that everything is subject to deductible first, and then you get a copay or co-insurance, except what, Mandy?
Preventive care.
Yes. Good job. You're paying attention.
Yes.
If you're going to a specialist, then it's going to be subject to deductible first. And then if you satisfy that it's a $75 copay. Urgent care, after you've met the deductible, a $50 copay. Emergency room, after you've hit the deductible, $300 copay, plus you're going to pay 20%. So that's a biggie. Lab and x-ray, after you've hit the deductible, you get a co-insurance benefit of 70%. You're responsible for 30% of the lab and x-ray. And I'll take a moment here on being a wise consumer. You know, not all x-ray lab places are priced evenly. You're going to pay a lot more on a big facility that's tied to a provider chain like Providence or Peace Health. Those are going to run you, on an MRI, probably around $2,000. If you go to more of an independent, like a LabCorp or Quest Diagnostics, that's going to be more like a $600 to $700 fee. Big difference in those. So keep that in mind. Alternative care, you do get a copay after you've hit the deductible. And then there's a maximum on the limits there of 20 for chiro and 10 for acupuncture. And then the big one that people forget about in HSA is prescriptions. You will pay the full cost of the prescription until you've hit your deductible. Once you've done that, then you get copays, and United, as you know, it just depends on where the drug lines up in their formulary and on what copay you have to pay. Now, once you've hit that out of pocket, again, it's covered 100% on every single benefit, regardless of what it is. I didn't go into the out of network too much. There shouldn't be a need to do that just because of the big national network that they have. But here are the benefits for using out of network, and you will all get a copy of this presentation. So that is the first plan that we've added, the HSA. The second plan is the same plan that we've had, a $2,000 deductible for individual, $4,000 for family. The out-of-pocket is $7,150 and $14,300 for family. And then you do have copays here. It's not subject to deductible. If you go to their designated network, it's a $15 copay. If you don't, it's a $50 copay. And then specialists, it's $100 if you don't go to the designated network. Urgent care, $25 copay, much less than what you would spend in an emergency room. And by the way, a pause for applaud because our ER visits went down for 2021. So good job there, being a wise consumer. Lab and x-rays are 20% after you've hit your deductible, but alternative care is a $15 copay. And then prescriptions are the copays too, not subject to deductible. So that's kind of the base plan. Now is the choice plan that has a lower deductible. It's $1,000 for an individual, $2,000 for family, $3,500 for out-of-pocket individual, $7,000 for family. This is a really, really nice plan that if you feel like you're going to have a lot of medical expenses, the premiums are higher on this, but it's probably going to be worth it to buy up to that plan. Copays are $25, $75 for specialists. There is no designated network on this plan. So as long as you're in the big network with United Healthcare, it's a straight $25 copay or $75 for specialists. Urgent care is $50. Emergency room is the same, $300 copay, then 20% after deductible. Lab and x-rays are covered in full on this one, Mandy. It's 100%. So
Amazing.
it is. It's a really great plan. Not too many are like that out there in the market. So hope you're enjoying it.
That would
And
be
then
the basic lab and x-rays, not the big daddies, not the MRIs and all those kind of things. So just a quick distinction.
thank you. Yeah. So advanced imaging, MRIs, CAT scans are going to be co-insurance, right?
Correct.
Alternative care is a $25 copay, and then the prescription are the same copays as the prior plan, but not subject to deductible. So that is a quick summary of the three plans. I know, adding the HSA, you're probably wondering, should I go on this plan? Let me talk about a little bit about the bells and the whistles here. The best way to look at this plan is in two parts. The first is a high deductible health plan. The IRS requires a deductible be subject to all the benefits. We covered that. Preventive care, again, is covered 100%. Also under the HSA, you can do virtual visits. There's an app for you to access. That will cost you a lot less than going to an actual physician in person. That'll run you between $200–300, where this probably would be around $55, and they can even prescribe. So if you're considering the HSA plan, virtual visits is a great way to go. All benefits subject to deductible. We may say that about 100 times just so it sinks in. One of the things about the HSA that you need to make sure that happens is that United Healthcare goes out and they contract with providers, for example, like a Peace Health. They agree that if our consumers, our patients go to your facility, you're going to give them a discount. And so in the HSA, that really needs to be applied before you make a payment. So at the time of service, they may say, hey, we need a form of payment. Well, try to make it as minimal as you can, because the network discounts need to be applied to the final bill. And then when you get your explanation of benefits, it'll show you what you owe after the deductibles have been applied. The other thing is we'll get to this, but the GoodRx app is a great feature to have on your phone, because again, if you're on the HSA and it's all subject to deductible, you may want to find out what's the cheapest cost for your prescription. And this app will show you exactly where you can get it at the lowest cost. It'll ask for the name and the dosage, and then it'll bring it up. Say, okay, if you go to Safeway, which usually is in the top 3 of the most affordable, you can show them then a discount, that card that the GoodRx will supply, and it'll be a lot more affordable than paying the whole amount. You do need to realize though, if you don't use the insurance on your prescriptions, because United Healthcare does have some discounts applied to the pharmaceuticals, it won't go towards your out-of-pocket max or your deductible. But sometimes GoodRx will beat it. So I would compare the two. Now the health savings account, the specifics there, you can contribute to your health savings account. So picture it as a separate bank account, and you can choose to have money taken out of payroll each period pre-tax. So if I decide I want $50 a month to go into this HSA, I'm going to save on the taxes for that. And that money goes into this account, and you can use it for any expenses that weren't covered under the plan. Now, if you don't want to use it for that, you don't have to, and you can let it accumulate year after year. You never lose it. Once that money hits your account, it's yours, and it accumulates year to year, and you can build it up. A lot of people, companies are offering this plan because it's becoming the most popular retirement plan, and people plan ahead and build up this HSA account. Also, if you get a certain amount of money into this HSA account, it is possible to put it into an investment account where you can get some interest. Also, if you were to leave the company, that money is yours. It goes with you. Now, there are a couple qualifications that we need to go over to make sure you are eligible for an HSA. The first is you do have to enroll in American Papers HSA plan. You can't have another plan and then open up a bank account. The IRS won't allow it. Also, you cannot be covered by any other plan, including your spouse. If you are on that, you have to waive off and only enroll on this HSA plan to contribute. You also cannot be on anybody else's flexible spending account. That's also another pre-tax vehicle, and the IRS doesn't allow us to do both. So if you enroll on this HSA, you need to waive off of the FSA. Also, if you are enrolled in Medicare, you're not eligible for the HSA. Or TRICARE, you are not eligible as well. And a reminder, you're eligible for the other two plans, just not the HSA plan. So maybe you decide you want to do the HSA. How much money can I put into this account over the year? If you're an individual, you can do up to $3,650 pre-tax, or if you're a family, you can do $7,300. That's quite a bit of savings on taxes if you do contribute that much. If you are over 55, you can do an additional contribution of up to $1,000, just like your 401k. You can do $4,650 if you're over the age of 55. Let me walk through a couple examples if you choose the HSA plan. Let's say you have your annual physical exam. It costs $95. We got the discounts. Well, guess what? No charge, Mandy. It's 100% covered, right?
Amazing.
Remember on this, though, when you go in for your physicals, your preventive care, make sure it's just your preventive. Don't change it where you have refills on prescriptions, or they're looking at the mole on your back and your knees creaking. Don't let them do any of that stuff, because it then changes to a diagnostic visit and it's no longer covered 100%. Now, let's say you go to a normal office visit to see your physician. You've got an issue with your knee. It's going to run you around $140, $200. If you haven't reached your deductible, you're paying $140. Let's say you have a prescription, the cost of it $65. You haven't hit your deductible, you're paying $65. Outpatient procedure, it's going to run $1,500 after discounts. If you haven't hit your deductible, you're paying that full amount. And just a reminder, if you have any money built into that account, you can use those dollars to pay for these charges that you're incurring. The other things you can use the HSA dollars for is vision or dental. There is a list of qualified medical expenses that you can, it's easily just put in Google qualified medical expenses. It'll bring it up and you can use all of that towards HSA dollars. Now you've reached your deductible. Well, again, preventive care, it's no charge. Office visit, now we're going to a co-insurance. Okay, so if it's 140, you're paying for the $140 and the 20%, it's going to run you about 28 bucks. Prescription, $15 copay at this point. Outpatient procedure, that'll cost you the 20% of the $1,500, so $300. Now, let's say you've reached the out-of-pocket max. You've hit it. Well, you're covered in full after that, right? So all these fees that are incurred, you're not paying anything because you've hit the worst case scenario out of pocket. You're covered 100%, including prescriptions. So we wanted to give you a quick view of the cost of the plans to go over this a little bit on making a decision for you on what plan to choose. And this will be given to you as well. So it may be a little quick up here for you to write it down, or you can take a picture of it, but it will be sent out. This new plan, this HSA, you can see it's costing a lot less for you than the other two plans. And there's a thought there that maybe if you were enrolled on this plan, you take the savings and put it in this bank account, set it aside, let it accumulate, and then you can use some of that money for these costs. Deciding on which plan's best for you really is up to you on what you think you'll incur for expenses, you and your dependents, if you have them. If you're a pretty healthy person and you may do a physical and maybe one other visit and just a prescription now and then, HSA may not be a bad idea. If you have a lot of medical expenses and you think you may incur, you may hit the out of pocket, it may be this plan here because that out of pocket's pretty low. If you're kind of in the middle, you don't know, then the middle plan may be the best way to go. That's what's kind of nice about these three options. It should fit everybody's needs on their care. This just reviews quickly the dental. Again, we're moving to principal. We are going to have the same benefits pretty much with Lincoln. So $50 deductible for an individual, $150 for family. Benefit maximum is $2,000, which is really generous. We normally see about $1,000 on this. And then no copay at the office visits. You're covered 100% for preventive. And then you're covered 80% for basic. You're responsible for 20% after you've met your deductible. And then major services, which would be your crowns and wisdom teeth, those are going to cost you 50% after you've paid your deductible. And then also vision here is moving to principal. Here are the costs here, very low cost. You do get an exam copay of $10 and then material is $25, and it's covered in full after the exam copay every 12 months. And then for frames, you get $130 allowance every 2 years. So just to finalize, the HSA is the bank account that will be tied to it. So United Healthcare uses Optum Bank. And if you choose this plan, you're going to register for your bank account. No one else can do it because your bank account is tied to you. It's illegal for anybody else to set this up. So this will be on you. You'll need to go into optumbank.com or you can download the app. And there you'll be able to enroll and set up a bank account. And then we can have that linked with payroll for your contributions to go into Optum Bank.
And just so
also-
you know, Brandon, I think I just might have cut you off there, but if you
Right.
go to that link, optum.com/qualified expenses, they can go and look to see what is qualified, like you mentioned in the last slide for the HSA.
We were tracking. That's
You
about
were
what I was.
thinking the same thing.
Yeah, you read my mind. So, all right. Oh, this is a nice little dollar flying here. Good graphics. Okay, so now I have done a huge amount of that presentation, and we're all excited now to shift over to Mandy.
Great. It's good to be here. I do want to remind everybody about a virtual visit because with United Healthcare, it's a $0 copay if you're on the 2 option plans. If you're on the HSA plan, as you mentioned, it's a much smaller out of pocket for you. Around $55 would be the cost of a virtual visit if you're on the HSA plan. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that they would go to the website at member.healthiestyou.com. And that's how they would set up and download their app, set up their account so that at any time throughout the year, something goes on and they kind of want to talk to somebody, have a consult, they can do it right through the mobile app at Healthiest You. One of the really cool things is it's 24/7, okay? So maybe on Christmas morning, Brandon, I wake up and I don't feel very well. I can do a virtual visit right from the comfort of my own Christmas tree. So those are the kind of things that make it convenient. And we want you to take advantage of the technology that's available. You wouldn't be seeing your own personal doctor, right? You're using Teladoc. So that's through United Healthcare, Healthiest You. They use the Teladoc system. It would be an actual real life doctor, but maybe just not yours. Okay. So this is just a reminder. I know you guys have been with United Healthcare All Savers for a little while now, but if you go to myallsaversconnect.com, you can register there. If you're not already registered, you can access your EOBs, your ID cards, and a lot more. And I know sometimes, you just kind of forget where that actual physical card is. So you can have it on your app, on your mobile phone forever. And it's a really great idea. The other thing I want to mention is the United Healthcare Motion Program. And if you have not signed up for that, it's not too late. You can do it for this year. You can go to myallsaversconnect.com and you can click on the United Healthcare Motion link. It's at the very bottom of the page. So once you go into myallsaversconnect.com, you can see it there. And then you can create a Motion account. And at that time that you register, you have a $55 credit that you can use for one of those tracking devices. Maybe you already have one. That's fine. You can use your own, but you have to register your device. And then you have the ability to earn up to $3 per day just by moving your body. There's 3 different ways that you can earn $1 each day. And you actually can get that money from United Healthcare. And what they do is at the end of a quarter, if they look into your system, they can see, oh, this person spent this much money with, a copay, an office visit copay, or some out-of-pocket expense, and they'll reimburse you the check if you've earned the dollars by walking. So it's over $1,000 a year that you can earn, and it's a really great way to remember to keep moving and stay fit. So they also have another program on the other side of the screen, the Rally program. Again, you can access that link at myallsaversconnect.com and you can call them with any questions too, but they have different, say maybe you want to lose some weight at the beginning of the year, maybe you just have some goals that you want to set. There's different programs that you can participate in. You can have a health coach, really good resources. And I would encourage everybody to take advantage of it. Oh, okay. Wow, that was good. So Brandon already covered this in the one pager, but I'm just going to go ahead, let you know, he already said it, that the Lincoln plan that you currently use for the dentist is changing to Principal. And it's a very similar setup. There's not changes with the plan design. So like he mentioned, for your preventive procedures, there's no deductible on that. And if you use a preferred provider, it's covered at 100%. I do want to point out that it says if you use a non-network provider, it's covered at 100%. Yes, that's true, Brandon, but the non-preferred provider may charge a little higher than what Principal reimburses. So I just kind of want to warn people, sure, you can go out of the network for your dentist, but you may have a charge, you know, $10, $20, $30 charge, because they may charge a higher rate than what Principal pays. So for the basic procedures, that would be if you need a filling, anything like that, your deductible would apply, it's $50. And then for in-network, you're covered at 80%. Same with non-network, but again, your dollar's going to go further if you remain in network. And then the last is the major procedures. Deductible applies, but there's only one deductible per year per person on that, and it goes up to $150. So if you have 25 people in your family, the max deductible you're going to pay is $150. But that's covered at 50%, and that's the big stuff. That's like the crowns and the major dental work that's covered at 50%. And then off to the right, you can see that you have a benefit maximum on a calendar year of $2,000. And like you mentioned, that's a really generous maximum. So make sure you guys go in and get your cleanings. If you don't have anything wrong, just make sure to get those 2 cleanings a year, because it's a great way to stay healthy. And then if you want to know who's preferred provider, we did a little search between Lincoln and Principal, and there are more dental providers that are preferred with Principal in your area. So it should be no issue for you, but go ahead and check it out. You can visit principal.com/dentist to find a preferred dentist. Okay, so this is a great little program that Principal offers, and they have a rollover portion on your unused maximum. So like I said on the last screen, you have a $2,000 maximum. And if you don't use it all, you have the ability to roll over up to $500 of that unused benefit to the next calendar year. So that's just kind of a win for you. I encourage everybody to use it regardless, but just so you know, that's available to you. Let's talk about the vision. Again, Brandon mentioned it when he went over the employee one-pager, but you do have an exam for $10 copay, and that's every 12 months. The frames, it's $130 allowance, which is $5 higher than your current $125 allowance with Lincoln, so that's good news. And then you get 20% off the amount over the allowance. So that's great, and that's once every 24 months. Again, because we're changing providers, you can go get your vision exam starting in January. You don't have to wait the full 12 months that you had, because we are changing to Principal. Lenses, it's a $25 copay. You can do contacts in lieu of the lenses, and that's up to a $60 copay for the exam. And then again, it's $130 allowance for those contacts. And that can be every 12 months in lieu of the frame. The necessary contacts, that's a $25 copay, and contacts instead of frames and lenses. So that is a great benefit for you. No benefit changes on that, just a different provider. So if you go to the next slide, I can just remind you that your new vision network is VSP. So you can visit VSP.com and you can find a doctor near you. It's a huge network. And so that's where you're going to want to look to see for preferred vision providers with Principal. Okay, this is the part, Brandon, I could hardly wait for. It's the voluntary term life insurance. And so currently you have that with Lincoln. That's moving over to Principal as well. That's why it's really important that you go into Employee Navigator and select this. But I just want to let you know that this is kind of a one-time only offer, where if you're not enrolled in the voluntary term life, this is your chance to do it. And you can select up to $150,000 for you. You pay for it. It's age rated. When you go into the system, Employee Navigator, you'll see what the rates are for your specific age. It's very affordable. It's actually a little bit cheaper than what you guys are currently paying with Lincoln. And I would encourage everybody to sign up for this, and at least sign up for something this year so that you're in the voluntary term life program. And then every year after, you can elect 2 additional increments with no evidence of insurability that's required. So they're not going to ask health questions. Anybody that's currently with Lincoln, you can elect the very same amount with Principal, and that's going to be no questions asked. But if you're not up to that 150,000 guarantee issue, now's the time to do it, is all I got to say. And then for your spouse, they can also elect, their guarantee issue is $30,000, and then also children can elect, just like they can now with Lincoln. So I really hope that people can take advantage of this, because it's kind of a one-time only, here's your shot. And, you know, as we get older, it gets harder to get life insurance. Am I right, Brandon?
Yeah, I can barely get it.
That's right, because you're so old. Yeah. Okay, so this is just the Principal mobile app. You can go, there's 3 easy steps to get started. You can, for the dental, view, email, or fax your ID card, search for a network dentist, get maps and directions, view a summary of recently paid claims and other claim details, and find coverage information. So you would just download the Principal app at the App Store or Google Play, log in using the username and password that you use for Principal.com, and then you'd be able to access all your benefits there. Now, again, you won't be able to access this mobile app with your benefits until the plan is enrolled. So you can't do that right now. You can go to Principal.com/dentist to find your preferred providers, just to be sure. But you're going to have to wait until you get your little ID card in the mail and you're enrolled with Principal before you can access the mobile app. Okay, now this is just a reminder that there's also some other voluntary benefits available to you through Colonial Life. This doesn't start till February 1st. These are the items that are available, and American Paper will have more announcements to come on this Colonial Life voluntary benefits that are available. So stay tuned, more to come. Not happening right now. Okay, before I say goodbye to you though, I do want to let you know that you're going to be receiving an email from Employee Navigator. And that's where you're going to click on the link. It's going to tell you the instructions in the email. The email is not coming from American Paper, and it's not coming from Montgomery and Graham. It actually comes from Employee Navigator. So be on the lookout on the 13th of this month for that email. Click there, and then you're going to go through the open enrollment and you're going to click on the benefits. Even if you are waiving the coverage, Brandon, you still have to log in and let us know that, because we just don't know that. And then we got to make sure that you guys all get in there and select what you want. It closes on the 27th. So everything has to be done and sent over, everything to Principal, the new carrier, and then any changes to United Healthcare. So that everything is effective on the 1st of the month for January. So I always just advise, well, we're going through this weird transition. I know that we're not changing medical carriers, but go ahead and fill prescriptions at the end of this month anyway, just so that everything's smooth and seamless and there's no hiccups.
All right, I think that does it, unless you want to sing a Christmas duet.
I didn't prepare anything this time, but next year, I promise.
All right, we'll practice, but meanwhile, happy holidays, and we hope you found this helpful. Bye-bye.